The zoo hypothesis is a solution to the Fermi paradox, where an alien civilization has been watching us for an unknown amount of time, and is doing research or experiments on our species. Some people believe that UFO sightings could prove that the zoo hypothesis is the reason that we have yet to find any concrete evidence for alien life. But what if the UFO sightings are not in fact evidence for the zoo hypothesis, but are future humans coming back in time to understand more about the origins of our species? If this was ever confirmed to be the truth, it would flip the world as we know it on its head. The thought that we would be able to traverse space and time, and future humans would eventually decide to go back in time and realize that all of the UFO sightings of the past was them. We must ask ourselves whether time travel could ever be possible. We know that due to special relativity, that forward time travel is possible, but what about backwards time travel? It is believed by many scientists, such as the late Stephen Hawking, that time travel may be possible if we are able to get a spacecraft to orbit a black hole, which would slow down the passage of time. While it is unknown whether we would ever be able to travel back in time, it is very interesting to speculate whether any slight changes we make by going back in time may cause different outcomes to transpire, like the butterfly effect. A very interesting subsection of the discussion of time travel is the grandfather paradox, which I will go into much more detail about in its own video. The grandfather paradox asks the question of what would happen if you were to travel back in time and kill your own grandfather. Would you cease to exist? Or would a new branching timeline be created? I always wondered to myself, if time travel eventually becomes possible, why have we yet to see any people from the future? Have all of the future humans who have travelled back in time opted not to reveal themselves in order to preserve their original timeline? Or when travelling back in time, do they enter a new reality? It blows my mind that all of the famous sightings of unidentified flying objects could possibly be our future relatives. We must ask ourselves, when speculating on the subject of time travel, what would be the reason that we may travel back in time in the future? What benefits of time travel outweigh the negatives? Some of the only logical reasons that I can think of that would benefit humanity by going back in time is learning more information about the origins of life on Earth and seeing what may have caused the Big Bang. The only other reason I can think of would solely benefit certain individuals whose relatives may have passed away. But who is to say that changing their fates may not cause worse and more deadly outcomes to come to pass? There is only one main negative consequence that we need to discuss about time travel. I discussed this earlier in the video, that being that any minor event may change the future in a drastic way. If any action would cause a chain reaction where a vastly different future occurred, then it is very likely that our future descendants would opt to not travel through time in order to preserve the current timeline. For example, if we went back to 4 billion years ago, when life appeared on the planet, perhaps even if a future human just picked up a rock and moved it, that would cause a whole chain of events which could prevent our species from ever existing. Is the reason that we only see UFOs the fact that our future descendants do not want to come in contact with us and affect their timeline in any way? Or are UFOs or are UFO sightings technology that governments have yet to show the public? The truth is, it is very difficult to come to a solid conclusion, but it is a very deep and interesting topic to discuss. I am just going to give a quick brief overview of the video. As we've discussed, time travel, especially backwards time travel, is very mind-bending and hard to comprehend. Is it possible? Or is time just a one-way flowing river? Or can we swim back upstream and potentially go back in time? Me personally, I do expect that time travel, especially backwards time travel, of course, is most likely that we enter a new reality and it causes many new branching timelines, as I do believe in the infinite universe and in the multiverse. So I believe that that is most likely what it is. It creates a new branching timeline, which is why we probably should not meddle with time, unless you want to go to a new reality, I guess. But yes, it is very interesting to speculate on this subject. As I said, I'm going to discuss many facets of time travel in a future video, being the grandfather paradox, and many other different aspects of time travel and how it could affect humanity in the future. Who knows, maybe somebody from our line of family members will eventually come back to us and maybe bring us to the future, or maybe come and say hello and we will experience reality again. I always wonder how it would feel for us when the person goes back in time, but they're going back in time from when we were dead and we are there. So we technically exist again when they've gone back, but their experience is relative to their timeline, if that makes sense. It's very hard to say it. Basically, they're in the future and they're coming back to the past, but you don't exist in the future, but you exist in the past. But their mind and their perception is that they're from the future, but they're going to the past, so you exist again, but you haven't existed. So you've gone from not existing to existing again to not existing when they go back. So it's a very mind-bendingly strange thing to comprehend. So yeah, we'll discuss this a few more times on the channel, probably in a podcast format like this, what we're discussing now at the end of this video. But yes, I really do appreciate you all sticking by for this video. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bells to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel. Comment down below and let me know what you think, and let me know any specific things you would like me to discuss on the channel. So yeah, I really appreciate you all. Have a wonderful day, and peace out, my friends.